Yeah, I guess I'll make a video about this building. Keep trying to make one about that one, but it never turns out the way I want. I'm getting to it. But like I say, since I'm working on this, been talking about this one a little bit, I'll make a quick video about this one. This is a 38 by 84 building. It was built for manure storage. This was done under a grant through the NRCS office. It's a National Resource Conservation Service. It's through the FSA office. This was, well, it started out to be a simple project, became more of this. I went over there to get ideas and stuff about the septic system for the milk house and see if there was any assistance in that. You see it down there. That's spreader pipe, white PVC pipe out there. I have 2 septic tanks in the ground. It goes to that discharge pipe. I did some videos earlier on it, some of the first videos I posted, and I might talk about it again here, maybe. But if somebody who want to go back, you can see them. But when I went to see about that, the next thing was, would you be interested in manure storage? They're saying eventually everybody's going to have to store manure. You're not going to be allowed to spread manure on the snow. And would you be interested in fence crossing? Another project we did was a stream crossing. You see that gate down there. We did a crossing across the creek, 4-strand high T fence there, all around. Went down to that crossing, and then it fenced in. There's a couple open fields up there. Cows haven't been up there probably for 20 years. We've started feeding them year-round so they don't travel to look for anything. That grew up in Multiflower Rose. But that was the other thing. They're going to stop you from letting cows cross the creeks. That's a whole nother story. I'll go into another video if somebody wants to hear that. But what it came down to is the number of cows I have. This is all the pasture I really have. There's 35 acres pastured on this side of the road, but this is basically all the pasture they go to. The rest of that's all woods. And in order to make it look good on paper, if we can say that they have access to that up there, it'll help in getting the grant. So that's where we ended up with that fencing, the stream crossing, which I thought would just be like a culvert pipe from the crossover. Ended up being reinforced bank and stone and stuff in there. The cows were still walking through the creek. Instead of going anywhere they wanted, they were straight, would only go through that 12-foot area. But like I said, that's a whole nother story. But so like I said, I agreed to all this, and at the time, normally they cost shared 75-25. They'd pay 75% of it, I'd have to pay 25% of it. Well, the program they had at the time, with my income level, that it was a 90-10. And because I agreed to do these projects, and then we were going to do a high traffic area behind the old barn, we were going to pasture dry cows up there. We never did that project. But it all came down to whoever was willing to do the most, had the most, got the grants. Well, because I was willing to do all this, I was their #1 candidate. And I got the grant in the end of 2007, and all this had to be done by 2010. But basically, by the time I was done, this building cost me nothing. They estimated what it cost, that's what they paid. If you got it done for less, then you had no money out of your pocket. Well, I ended up getting it done for less. And like I was telling about here yesterday, or the other day, whenever this video comes out, some of the things that pissed me off with this, doing these grants, you got to do it to their specs. Well, their original plan, they only had 4 foot between these buildings. And I told them I didn't think that was a good idea, because any snow that comes off this roof If it piles up in there, I'll never be able to get it out. Oh, you'll never have to worry about snow. Well, I argued with them a little bit, then they finally agreed, so that's why now it's 8 foot. Well, like I said, either that first winter or the second winter, I had all that snow come off this roof, fill this up. Now, if we had 4 foot, instead of that snow landing here and piling up, it would have landed up here on the cover and probably shredded this whole side of this building. So that was one thing I was glad that I got them to change. Now in here is an 8-inch tile that goes across here. It's like a French drain. This is all 2B stone, I guess, in here. And they got, well, the gutter only goes across where I'm driving here to get in and out of the barn. And that goes out and across and discharges out in the pasture. The level of this building, now originally this was kind of a gradual slope off this old building. Well, to build this up, if I remember right, we had to raise this corner, this side of the building up like 5 or 6 foot. So a lot of it, the contractor, he ripped open a lot of this down here, brought out a lot of the clay, was able to get this filled up. That's where we saved a lot of the money on the construction of it. We didn't have to bring in a lot of fill. But their plans say these posts have to be on virgin ground. So this side of the building, they drilled down like 5 foot. It had to be on virgin ground, and it had to have, I forget if it was 4 or 6 inches of concrete underneath the post. So this side we were good. We only had to drill down about 5 foot to get down below the frost on virgin ground. They poured, well, it ended up being more concrete than 4 inches, because you can really only get, I think these were only 16-foot poles. So we wouldn't have to buy longer poles or build poles or anything. They filled that up to wherever these 16-foot poles would work, because we got 12 foot to the trusses. Well, this side over here, they drilled down over 8 foot to get down to virgin ground. So this side, we got like 6 foot of concrete in the ground, or 5 foot or anyhow, for these poles to sit on. Because they didn't want this building to move. Well, I don't see where it's ever going to move. Another stupid thing was concrete floor here. We got a curb on the bottom there, and then it's a 3-foot wood wall. Well, that had to be poured all in one pour. They couldn't pour the floor and then pour this curb on top, you know, form boards on this side, form boards on this side with a stake. You couldn't have that stake into concrete. So the guy that I contracted for the building, he's the same guy that did the electrical work in the barn, water, plumbing, built that ledge there for me. He's the one that did all this, but he doesn't do concrete. He had a Mennonite friend of his from Kentucky come up here to do the concrete. The guy drove up here at least 3 times, and which wasn't bad. I mean, a couple of times he was coming up here. He's got family in Ohio, and he was coming up to visit family or doing other jobs. So it wasn't really out of his way, but he had to build special brackets, U-shaped brackets that would stake on this side and then go over the top and hold the board on top like this to build that curb all in one shot. I see, by the time he was done, I mean, he was excited about doing it, willing to do it and stuff. I don't see where he made money building all them brackets all the time driving up here from Kentucky. The rebar in the floor here, they had on 12-inch centers that way and that way. Well, the guy's name from Kentucky was Menno, and he didn't like that because, one, it was too hard to walk through here. So he wanted to move it out to 18 inches. Well, they did agree to that. So it's 18-inch center rebar in here. Thing was, you know, every step of this has to be documented, has to be approved for the grant. and that rebar had to be supported by what they called, well, he was calling them steps, he was calling them chairs. But what was supposed to be, according to the plan, was these little H-shaped, kind of cube-shaped steps that would sit there, and then the rebar would sit on top of it so it's in the center of the slab. Well, the ones they used were these plastic ones that look like road cones. It's got a divot in the top for that rebar to sit on top of. They had this all laid out. It had to be approved before they poured the concrete. The guy from the office comes out, and he had a hissy fit because there was some plastic cones in there. It was supposed to be these metal steps. We looked at each other like, what the hell is the difference? Once this concrete is poured, their job is done. What the hell difference does it matter what they are? Oh, but he was so worried. He wouldn't even take pictures of this. He wasn't going to come. He allowed it, but he wasn't coming back until the concrete was poured because he was so afraid somebody from Harrisburg, Washington, wherever the main office is, would have a hissy fit about it. So, I mean, it's just these stupid little things. Now, if you look up at the trusses here, there is a lot of 2x4s and stringers up there. And Kenny, the guy that built this, he even commented on that. You know, he would only have, like, say, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 strings running down through here. And then it has all these, I don't know where you can see it. You can kind of see that one right there. It runs on an angle. All these are specified to be this way. They basically used a whole pallet rack of 2x4s for the stringers, because that was by their specifications. Well, after looking at the plans a little bit closer, I seen Florida address on it. I kind of think this is designed for hurricane standards. So, but like I say, it serves a multi-purpose. You know, I'll stack this full of all my bedding hay for the winter so it's dry and easy to chop. You know, I keep the tractor here in the winter and stuff. Now, if I get this manure hauled out, and if I can't afford to get some fertilizer, I can set the pallets of fertilizer and stuff in here and it'll stay dry enough. So, that's how we got this. Like I said, this is designed for like 40 cows for 5 months storage. Now, I'm way empty this year because we had such a fairly mild winter. I didn't haul much, or I was able to haul a lot of manure through December into the beginning of January. So, not much stacked up here. And then this is nice in the summertime, like the last 2 summers. Well, last summer wasn't bad, but the 2 years before that, it just rained so much you couldn't go out without cutting ruts, so I was able to stack manure in here until the weather got good. And probably what I should have talked about on the very beginning of this, but I kind of forgot about it. The original plan for this building was another one of these. And what we were going to do was put it on like bunker silo walls, concrete, precast concrete walls. They use them for salt storage buildings. They use them for bunker silos, because the guy that built this building, it was going to be a good deal for him, because like I say, if they eventually mandate that everybody has to store manure, it's going to be a big thing. And if they could have worked all this package together, this is going to be a whole huge thing. Problem we ran into, the precast company would never submitted any of the engineering for them walls to the engineers or the NRCS office. All they had to prove was that wall could take 65 pounds per square foot side load, where they're designed for 80 foot. But like I said, all they had to do is submit this engineering to prove that, and we would have had one of them buildings here. But they kept putting it off, and like I say, this building had to be up by May of 2010. And so, like this time of year, normally you can't do any construction, so we had to do it in 2009 to meet the grant. And so I just told them, you know, like I say, they already had these plans drawn up for these because they've done lots of them, I guess. So I just told them, you know, give me the plans for a building like this, and that's what we went with. So, but, I guess I gotta get up there and do something with that. Yeah, just gotta take a 2x4, put it across it. See, the problem here is I backed my bale chopper in here, and there's just enough room to be able to get one of them bales into the bale chopper, but if I'm not watching what I'm doing, then I'll bump into the trusses. Like right there, that one's a broke one. I got that joint broke. And there's several of them in here. Over here stacking hay, I just noticed this one over here. It is a tight fit to get the hay stacked in here. You don't have much room, but broke that one there. So, yeah, like I said, it won't be too bad to get. I think I can almost stand on the tractor hood there and reach that. If not, I'll get something I can get up there. That height I ain't crazy about, but I will go up there. So like I say, I'll just get a 2x4 and scab that across there and just drywall screw it onto it. Not that it's gonna fall down or go anywhere, but so I'm sure there's something else I was gonna tell about this, but I've already gone too longer than I figured it was again. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you later.